Okay, guys, we're back again for some more training. The first time, if you were able to join me, we talked about manufactured housing and how to review that. Today, we're going to talk about something completely different. It's called appraisal review. And I think it was Shakespeare that said it best. To review or not to review? That is the question. I'm a dork. Okay, sorry about that. He didn't say that, of course, but it is kind of cool to talk about appraisal review. And that's what we're going to do today. If you're new to Clear Capital, you might be thinking, well, what is that? It's really, really simple. Basically, it's where we ask one appraiser to review the quality, the work of another appraiser. And it could be for a multitude of products. It could be for an apartment complex. It could be for an industrial center. It could be for a single family residence. What we're going to focus on mostly today is the review of a single family residence. And the form that we use, the appraisal field review form for that, is a form called 2000. However, before we get into the form itself and the review process, let's talk a little bit more why lenders order reviews. It's simple. They really just want to make sure that the original appraisal they received has an accurate valuation. And that's what the review appraiser's job is, to make sure the original results are credible and reliable. It's strange though. For some reason, there's always kind of been this disconnect between lenders and review appraisers. It almost seems like the review appraiser sometimes wants to hold information back, maybe not be completely transparent with the lender. And then also when the lender comes back and challenges the reviewer, they get sometimes a little testy. Where we come in at Clear Capitals, we try to mediate that process, right? We want to make sure the review appraiser does a good, thorough analysis, and that the actual review going back to the client is a satisfactory product. But it kind of reminds me of something like this.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Yes, the lender does want to know the truth, and they can handle the truth. Trust me. Appraisers need to convey results that are accurate, right? And all the lender wants to know is that if they have an accurate appraisal, that original appraisal is reliable, it's credible. Because you got to remember, they placed a loan on this property. The other thing is, too, they could be shopping this property to be part of a portfolio that they're going to unload. So they really want to know the accuracy of those results. The other thing is, too, sometimes as reviewers at Clear Capital, staff appraisers, senior staff appraisers, also REVAs, we have to call appraisers. And if we feel that they haven't done their due diligence in an appraisal review, we need to challenge them. But it's funny. They sometimes get defensive. In fact, sometimes they get really defensive. Give you an example.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
All right. Whoa. We don't have to go super Liam Neeson, do we? And actually, hey, I'm kidding. We at Clear Capital have an amazing vendor panel. I've worked with a lot of these folks all across the United States for the past 10 years, and I've been with Clear Capital for 10 years. And we do have some amazing appraisers on our vendor panel. So I'm kind of teasing a little bit, but again, we know how busy vendors get, especially if there's a lot of orders, interest rates are low, our clients are doing a lot of ordering. We know that they can get behind. And sometimes, inadvertently, they might cut corners or they just might rush. And when they do that, they might be missing some pertinent information. So especially in the review mode, this is our last chance to help the client to catch something in regards to that original file. So we want to make sure that we really go back to our reviewers and that they're doing a great job for us. All right, so let's talk about the form itself. Remember, it's called the Form 2000. Form 2000 is designed for the single family residence, and it's broken down into sections. There's actually two sections. There's section 1 and section 2. Section 1 actually takes the 1004 form, right? The Uniform Residential Appraisal Report form. So all components of it. So your subject section, your contract section, your neighborhood section, site section, improvement section, and your comp grid are all broken down into specific questions on Form 2000. And what we'll do is we'll show you in the video how the form looks on 2000 and how it corresponds to each section of the URAR form. Okay, so let's dive into that, a little bit. All right. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and analyze the Form 2000, and let's take a look at that. So if you notice with the slide that's been provided, you'll see that it is broken down into questions. This is section 1. The very top, it just basically reiterates the property that's being reviewed, right? You got your property address, breaks down the borrower, owner, public record, legal description, and of course our client that the review is being conducted for. And then you'll notice all of a sudden it goes into these questions. Question 1, for example, says, is the information in the subject section completed and accurate? Is it complete and accurate? So what the client is looking for there is for the review appraiser to analyze that particular section of the 1004 form and to basically substantiate the results, make sure they're accurate. And if they're not accurate, the review appraiser has to go into detail and provide a summary and some additional data as to why something is inaccurate. And if the appraiser can't prove otherwise, then they take the extraordinary assumption that the information provided in the original appraisal is correct. Okay, but what the lender is looking for and the duty and responsibility of the reviewer is to actually analyze that section. So in this particular case, we can see that the appraisers marked the yes box saying, yes, I agree with everything in the subject section of that original appraisal. I believe it to be accurate. In fact, they say all information appears to be accurate and the subject address is correct per USPS.com. Okay, that's great and all, but that's really not answering questions for the client. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 1004 of that original appraisal, and let's just see if it was accurate. All right, so here we are. Here's a snapshot of the original 1004 URAR form. Okay, this is what the field reviewer is analyzing. So again, it's broken down into sections. So remember, looking at a Form 2000, here is the question 1 and question 2 that coincides with the subject and contract section. So never mind the little green and yellow highlighted areas. That's not really relevant. But take a look at it. Look at how long the property was on the market. Do you see anything interesting with that? And then also in the contract section, the appraiser states that this is an arm's length sale. He or she analyzed the full 24-page contract with nothing appearing to be unusual and pretty standard. And then below that, it looks like that there was a seller's credit for the replacement of the roof. So let's go ahead and take another look at that, and I'll highlight some sections in red. Please also remember, not only is the review appraiser just substantiating if those results are accurate, but is there anything unusual with it? Is there anything that is of suspect that might be a concern or an alarm or that could affect the accuracy of that appraisal? So that's what we need to be concerned about. All right, gang. Well, now I went ahead and provided a slide and highlighted some areas in red that should be of concern. Okay, remember the review appraiser just basically checked the boxes. Everything looks fantastic, and it's just basically we call that rubber stamping. Not really fully analyzing, major components of the appraisal, potential red flags, areas of concern. So we call that rubber stamping. They basically just want to check the box and move on. But let's look back in this area that are marked in red. All right, so the subject section. We see that the property was listed on the market for 16 days. Okay, and then it was listed first originally on of 2021 for 650,000. Then the price was reduced to 575,000 on 115 of 2021. So just 14 days later, the property was reduced. So we got to check that with actually market conditions to see if the market is stable, if it's increasing or decreasing. But that is interesting that it was dropped significantly in a short amount of time, and then you can see it went in under contract 1 day later for 575,000. All right, look at the next box below that, the contract section. It says right there again that there is a 10,000 seller. The seller is giving the buyer $10,000 credit to replace the roof. And in the middle, it says again, the arm's length sale. This is an arm's length sale. Analyze the full contract and nothing appearing to be unusual and pretty standard. Well, the seller's giving away $10,000 basically to help with the replacement of the roof. The seller is also reducing the property significantly in just 14 days of being on the market from 650,000 to 575,000. Guys, these are red flags. These are unusual. Something is different here. And again, as a field reviewer, kind of need to analyze that. Obviously, this is probably one of the reasons why the client wanted the field review ordered in the first place, to check into this and to see basically what's going on here. All right. Okay, well, some of you guys might not know this. Obviously, you're watching this as recorded, actually on YouTube. But when I was filming this, I actually have live participation with students that are watching this. So let's check in real quick before we move on to the additional sections of the review. Let's check in with somebody. See how you're thinking, what you're thinking, and maybe how do you like it so far? All right, how about you?
I like it a lot.
Okay. And also, I noticed you. You were in my class last time for the manufacturer home training. It looks like this time you've got something you want to maybe add, or I don't know, you had a question? So go ahead. What do you got? All right. It's Spicoli, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Never mind. We're just going to keep moving on. So let's just move on. All right. Okay. Let's keep moving along. We just finished up section 1 of Form 2000 that dealt with, of course, the subject and contract section. Now we're moving to section 1 of the 2000 form, which deals with the neighborhood. That's question number 3. And then also the site section of the URAR form. So on Form 2000, that's dealing with the site. That's question number 4. So if you look at the 2000 form, you'll see once again that the appraiser agreed with the original appraiser. So the review appraiser agreed with the original appraiser, and for those sections of neighborhood and site, pretty much rubber stamped it and said appears to be accurate or correct or adequate. A lot of times you'll see that as well. So in looking at that, now we have to go back and do our due diligence, look at the original appraisal report, and to see if in fact there were some discrepancies, some maybe potential concerns, red flags. Also, if there maybe is reporting inaccuracy. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that. Okay, guys, we are now looking at the original 1004 for the neighborhood and site section. And so let's just take a quick look at it. Appraiser notates that the property values are stable, has a predominant price range of $650,000 with a low of $425,000, a high $750,000. Appraiser states in the neighborhood section that the immediate area consists primarily of medium-sized tract homes on average size city lots. Quality of construction ranges from average to good, and so forth. Appraiser also notes in the zoning that this is R1 single family. And if you look at the bottom of the site, at the very bottom, there's that famous question on the 1004. It says, are there any adverse, site conditions or external factors present? And appraiser marks no and puts a little simple comment that drainage appears adequate with no adverse conditions noted. So on the surface, looking at that, you could see if you were the review appraiser, nothing really stands out. So maybe again, if that review appraiser is in a hurry, feels rushed, or is just trying to get through the review, again, just basically trying to rubber stamp it, might just go ahead and pass this through. But let's take a look. Let's dive a little deeper. Okay, guys. So, and if you hear some background noise, it's dumping rain. So apologize for that. But as we were discussing in the neighborhood and site section, the review appraiser, Form 2000, basically, again, just rubber stamped it, agreed with everything. But as you can see in this slide, there are some issues. So let's look at the very top in that first red box area where it says 1 unit housing trends. The appraiser marked that it was stable, okay? But if you go directly below that in that next red box section, you'll see that the appraiser makes a comment indicating the market appears to have been increasing over the past year. So right there, there's a contradiction. And in that Form 2000, the review appraiser needs to investigate, needs to find out that maybe if there was a need for time adjustments of the comparable sales. All right, or is that accurate? Is the market stable or is it increasing? So again, appraiser should not have marked yes for question 3 of the Form 2000, should have marked no, and then went into investigating that. Okay. Also, too, if time adjustments were warranted, then the appraiser should have either readjusted the comps that were used in the original appraisal, or if the appraiser found additional comps to render a new conclusion, that appraiser should apply the correct methodology or the correct adjustments. So that's one thing that we should go back definitely for that review appraiser. Okay, moving along, look at the next box below that. You can see that it's zoned R1, 7,000, which if you look at the zoning description, says single family residential, 1 unit with a maximum lot size of 7,000. Well, guys, look at the lot size. It's actually 9,375 square feet. So guess what? The appraiser marks the zoning compliance is legal, but this isn't legal. At the very minimum, it's legal non-conforming, or it could be possibly illegal. Since this is in a suburban area, most likely it's just legal non-conforming. But again, the appraiser has to address this. And this is actually in the site section. So this would be question 4, which again, the appraiser rubber stamped it, should be addressed. The review appraiser needs to tackle this area. And then let's look at the last one at the very bottom, also in the site section. This is a great, my father taught me this many, many years, is that we really got to be careful of this. Are there any adverse conditions, site conditions, or external factors that can affect the property? Appraiser marked no, and just put a basic comment of drainage appears adequate with no adverse conditions noted. But if you look at the original appraisal, which I'm going to show you, there were some potential external factors. So let me show that to you real quick. Yes, breaking news. All right, guys. I don't know about you, but looking at that aerial image, that looks like traffic influence to me, an external factor, right? So again, the review appraiser in this section just agreed with the original appraiser. Well, the original appraiser, I think, botched it. They should have mentioned at the very least that there was some type of traffic influence. And then, of course, that appraiser's job is to figure out, what type of influence that had on the property in terms of either marketability or having a value implication. So, yes, it screams danger, 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 Will Robinson. I know you new folks don't even know what I'm talking about, but if you're a fan of Lost in Space, you get what I'm saying. But again, this was something that is critical. Also, the appraiser marked that the view was neutral residential. Maybe busy streets should have been attached to that. So again, this is just another issue. So let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go check out the different questions of the Section 1 of the Form 2000. So we are definitely cruising through the different questions of Section 1 of Form 2000. So we just covered question 3 and 4, right? The neighborhood section and the site section. So looking at question number 5, this deals specifically for the improvement section of the appraisal, right? Page 1 of the URAR 1004 form. Looking back at the original appraisal and to expedite this training session, everything appeared to be accurate. So in this case, the appraiser, has the blanket statement indicating, this section appears accurate and the actual age was reported correctly. Since there was nothing really of concern there, we're going to move past that. But let's move to question number 6. This is critical because this talks about comparable selection of the original appraisal. And it specifically asks, are the comparable sales selected locationally, physically, and functionally most similar to the subject property? So, right, again, the review appraiser is stating that, and this is what they even put in the commentary, the sales used in the original appraisal appear to be representative and competing to the subject property. That statement is okay if that's true, so we need to go back and look at that. And then question 7 really comes down to the data and the analysis about this comparable sales, right? The actual methodology, the market-based adjustments applied to the comps in the sales grid. Are they accurate? And the appraiser states adjustments applied in the original appraisal appear accurate and appropriate throughout the grid. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll pull that up. All right, you guys. So now we get a chance to look at the grid, right? And when I was taught back in 1987 by my father, my father explained to me this is where all the magic happens. So regardless if you're in a field review or just completing a regular 1004 single-family residential appraisal, this is where all the action happens, right? And this is probably the most critical section of an appraisal, or also the most critical question on the field review Form 2000. And if we look at the snippet, right, the section of the sales grid, you can see that at the very top, proximity to subject, there should be some red flags that are going off. Because remember, in Section 1, Question 6, it actually ensures, the form itself ensures that the appraiser selected or should have selected comps that were locationally similar to the subject, right? Well, since a lot of us locals know where Roseville, California is. It's a suburb of Sacramento, and it's a suburban area. So if we look at the comps, you can see that all 3 comps were in Granite Bay. Granite Bay is a neighboring community. It's not incorporated, might be incorporated now, or even portions of it might be incorporated. But you can tell that comp 1 is 2.5 miles away, comp 2 is 2.25 miles away, and then comp 3 is 2.61 miles away. That should be a red flag, especially if you know this area. And when we're looking at the map, if you pulled up a location map or a satellite map, this would seem kind of strange. All right, so the other thing is too, what we noticed after looking at the aerial image, subject backs up to somewhat of a busy road. There's traffic influence. And we can see that the location, that next red area, the location field, the appraiser marked neutral residential. And if all the other 3 comps were residential, neutral residential, and our subject had the busy street, that might warrant adjustment. But I'm more worried about the comps themselves. Were these the most appropriate comps? And that's what the appraiser needs to investigate. Because again, he agreed with this comp selection. But if the appraiser did their due diligence, and as us as reviewers, we need to go back to that appraiser and say, hey, maybe look at our tools on Jasper, Clear Capital, ClearProp to see if there were better comps or more appropriate comps to select. That's what we need to call out, especially in that particular question of Section 1. And then another thing is just look down below. Look at the site size. Remember, we only have a site size of 9,375 square feet. Comp 1 is 2.01 acres. Comp 2 is just almost an acre. And then Comp 3 is 1.9 acres. We're not even bracketing the site size there. And then again, a view, we've got a busy street. The last line of this section here, we've got a busy street. And then if we even look at 2 and 3, if these were good comps, they are beneficial. One's pastoral and the other one is mountain. So guys, again, red flags all the way. We should go back to the appraiser, should look at ClearProp, look at all the tools that are available to us, challenge this, and red flag should be going off. We should go back to the appraiser, okay? All right, guys, this is it. We made it. We're on the home stretch. We're dealing with questions 8, 9, and 10 of Form 2000. And question 8 is real basic. It's asking whether or not if the data and the analysis presented in the income and cost approaches is complete and accurate. And this is looking again at the 1004 that's being analyzed, the original appraisal, and to see if these approaches are appropriate, if they've been developed correctly. It's real simple in this case because the original appraisal, the appraiser did not complete the income and cost approach. So in this case, the reviewer can mark the little box that says not developed. Pretty self-explanatory. Doesn't have to put any additional commentary, and we move on. Number 9 is a little bit more interesting. Number 9 deals with the prior sales history of the subject and the comparable sales. So with USPAP, it is required that the appraiser and the field review appraiser need to verify whether or not the subject has sold and or transferred within the past 36 months of the effective date of the appraisal. So hopefully the appraiser's done their due diligence, and in this case they did, but I don't like the commentary that was applied. It's pretty basic. It just says no prior sale of the subject. Should go into a little bit more analysis, but it is technically accurate. So that's it for question 9. And now here comes number 10. Drum roll, please. It basically is asking the reviewer, is the opinion of market value in the appraisal report under review accurate as of the effective date of the appraisal report? So guys, appraisal marks obviously yes, but looking at all the issues that we found in the question 3, question 6, question 4, question 7, as it relates to the traffic influence, the comparable selection, the adjustments, the increasing market or not increasing market. Those are enough issues where the appraiser should have done more investigation, and it might have led to the appraiser to choose more appropriate comparable sales. Guys, section 2 of Form 2000 is a sales grid. The appraiser should, if the best comps were selected and the adjustments were incorrect, that review appraiser should put those comps in the grid and then apply the correct adjustments, the correct methodology. And if they weren't the best comparable sales, or maybe there's a combination, maybe a couple were, but the review appraiser found more, more competing or more accurate or more indicative of the subject, then that appraiser would put the combination of the sales in that grid of section 2, and again, apply the appropriate methodology. That's it. That's what we're expecting the review appraiser to do. And we have to hold that individual accountable and work together as a team. Okay, well, guys, thank you very much for joining me today so that we could talk about field reviews and Form 2000 for single-family residents. That's it. So thank you again. But before we go, I noticed this fella here had some questions or wanted to say something. So, yeah, please go ahead.
Tommy want wingy.
Yes, Tommy want wingy. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks again. Everybody take care. Appreciate your time today. Bye-bye.